Hi there. So me and Phil have just been having a chat in the office and we thought we'd jump on camera to talk about the common mistakes that we think a lot of people make when thinking about or when selling their home.
Of course, there's lots of things you can get right and lots of things you don't want to get wrong, otherwise it could cost you lots of money when selling your house. So we wanted to cover some of the most common mistakes, and the first one that we wanted to talk about really was overpricing, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's probably the biggest mistake that people make. And it's not really the home seller's fault necessarily. It's normally because they've been told an unrealistic price by an estate agent that is looking to just get their house on the market and get another board up.
And why is overpricing such a bad thing? Why is it going to cost people money? One of the first things I think of is that people aren't going to come and see your house, are they, if it's overpriced?
No, so you're going to waste the initial exposure time. So when you're putting your property onto the market, it's quite often not been on the market for years, and you've got one opportunity to make the best first impression. So if you go on at too much money, you're not going to get any viewings, or you're not going to get many viewings, and it's going to start to stagnate from day one.
That's it, and it just starts this negative downward spiral there from then you're having to reduce price to try and bring in interest, but once it's starting to reduce, it starts to look negative for people looking at it, and they're just going to see if it can go lower and lower and lower, and you'll end up with even less than if you started at the right point in the first place.
Yeah, so statistically, houses that have been on for longer get less than houses that are realistically priced from the start.
Indeed. Yeah. Avoid overpricing.
Yeah, definitely avoid overpricing. The second thing that we were discussing, Phil, was how we think that people that you need to instruct a proactive estate agent. So proactive is a bit of a cliche. What does that mean?
Well, it's how they're going to act whilst they're being your agent. That's what you're employing them to do. You're employing them to work for you, represent the sale of your house in the best possible way. So you want to see that they're doing things to actively sell your house, don't you? Yeah. You want to see that they're communicating with you about what they're doing. You want to see what they're doing in terms of going about the marketing. They've not just taken some pictures, stuck it online and wait to see what happens, and they'll give you a call if there's some good news of somebody wants to interview. You want to know what they're actively trying to do to sell your house. Yeah,
it's a bit of a common misconception that if it's on Rightmove, it'll sell. And you really can't wait for buyers to come to you. Obviously, buyers do come to you when you put your house on the market. That's part of what happens, but you can't solely rely on that. There's other avenues to explore, isn't there, to attract people to your house.
That's it. You want to see that they're trying to expose your home to the most amount of people to try and find that right lead who's going to be the perfect buyer for you to make sure you get the best price when selling.
Yep, so make sure that you choose a proactive estate agent. Not always easy to do, but certainly speaking to friends or getting personal recommendations from other people who the agent has sold for is probably a good way to start. You could even mystery shop, couldn't you, Phil?
Yes, yeah. Give agents a call, find out how they're responding. If they're not picking up the phone to talk to you when you're trying to speak to them about selling the house, then are they going to be picking up the phone to potential buyers when you're selling? So all these little things you can do to try and find the right agent for you who's going to be proactive.
Yeah. So next thing was don't go cheap.
So this kind of leads on from making sure you're picking the right agent, really, doesn't it, Ian? In order to get the right agent, usually the ones who are going to be the most proactive for you and do all that sort of stuff, don't come cheaply, because they're going to take the time and efforts to make sure that your photos are looking the best, that they're going to be re-energising the marketing, they're going to be communicating with people.
They're going to have the marketing spend.
That's it, yeah.
Yeah, they're going to have the time to create the marketing, they're going to have the time to work with buyers, they're going to have the time to negotiate. You know, negotiation quite often isn't a quick thing, is it? And it can sometimes take a few days, several phone calls, so you need an agent that's got the time to be able to do that.
I've personally had some bad experiences when trying to work with sort of cheaper online type agents who don't have somebody specifically who's actively working on your sale. It's kind of covered by a call centre somewhere, and it's just very much just sort of funnel it through and nobody really knows what's going on. You want somebody who's actively working on it, and usually that isn't one of the cheap online agents that you come across.
No, yeah, and there's plenty of cheap local agents as well, Phil. They're not all online. So definitely don't go cheap. However, I would say that the cheapest agent is the agent who gets the highest price for your house.
That's it. The best value overall package is about getting the overall highest sale, isn't it?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
That's why to go for the best possible agent, regardless of price. It's the one who's going to get you the most for your home, is the one leaving the most in your back pocket.
And base it on the data. What's the data? You need an agent that's got independent data that they can show you as to what they're achieving in the marketplace at the current time. And if that agent is 1% more than the nearest agent you've had out, well, that's okay, isn't it? If the estate agent in question is achieving 4% more for your house,
Exactly.
So it's about how much money's in your pocket.
That's the one. Make sure you're getting the right agent, the most proactive agent, and avoid going for the cheapest agent.
Exactly. The next thing we've written down, Phil, that we were discussing was don't use an agent that isn't using a professional photographer and a videographer.
That's it. It's so important these days is to make sure that your home is looking the best. People find their next home most of the time these days looking online, and the impression that they'll get is what they can see from that digital marketing, the photos, the videos, and how it's going to look on there. I'm sure so many of you watching here have seen photos when looking online of homes where no effort has gone into it. Somebody's gone around with their phone, and phones are very good at taking pictures these days, but it's the effort that goes into that and setting them and making sure they're going to look at their best, they're taken at the right angles, they're true to it, the lighting is good, it's cohesive throughout. It's not just somebody's left their washing out in the middle of the room, and therefore it's just, you don't really get a full perspective of what it's going to look like.
Yeah, that's very true. And on top of that, you also see some lovely homes that go on the market that have got decent photographs, but quite often those photographs could be better again. And it's how they make a house feel, and that will directly impact how many viewings you get and the price that you achieve.
Exactly. People will pay a premium for a home where the aesthetic looks fantastic. That's where our modern society is. So you need to make sure your photos and the property tour video do justice to that.
That is a very important point. Next one is don't be underprepared with documentation before you launch your house onto the market.
That's it. So one of the more painful parts of moving home is sort of the legal work that you have to go through when moving, to prepare all your documents when selling, to sign all the things and make sure you're happy with your purchase and all that sort of thing. Do some of that legwork up front. Make sure you do the preparation in terms of preparing paperwork. Some of the key things that you need to make sure you've got are, here in the UK, it's an energy performance certificate, an EPC. That needs to be valid. It may be that you have one valid already. They last for 10 years, but make sure it's up to date and showing what you've currently got. There's other documentation that you can prepare up front as well, isn't there?
Yeah, so we sell a lot of properties that have got land, so maybe multiple titles. So it's important to have the title plans and the title registers ready before the house goes on the market. If the property's had extension work done, you've got building regulation certificates, planning permissions, all sorts of different things, window certificates, heating, electrical installation certificates, all those sort of things the solicitor will ask for when the sale is agreed. So get it all prepared really before the house goes on the market. Something else we would suggest is to sign up and instruct a solicitor when the house goes on the market, rather than waiting for when you agree a sale. You can save 2 or 3 weeks there, and that is 2 or 3 weeks very, very precious time saved.
It doesn't cost anything to be organised, making sure all this is in a handy place. You can't start that process too early, so avoid being disorganised, because it'll lead to more pain and chaos further down the line when you're trying to sell.
This is very true. We also discussed, Phil, about sellers who turn down early offers in the hope of achieving a higher offer further down the line.
Yeah, so this one's a tricky one, because offers, negotiations, it can be very situational, can't it? But when you're getting in offers early on, usually that early part when you go onto the market, that's usually the busiest, most interested part when you're on the market. That's when you get the most interest. And so actually, any offers you're getting in that early stage, that's usually when buyers are going to be most interested. And you really want to work with the offers that are on the table, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Normally, the best offer comes in the early part of the process. So if you've got an offer that's anywhere near what you would like, we would suggest that you use it, not lose it. So if you've got an offer on a property, typically most people live in the house that we're selling for them, and they're looking to move on and buy another property. So when we say use it, don't lose it, what we mean is take that offer and use it to be able to move on and offer on another property. So don't lose early offers. Obviously, if they're ridiculously low and offensive, silly, then of course you turn them down.
Yeah, we're not saying accept any offer that comes in on your home, but work out what you can do with that, particularly if it's early on in the process. If you're then sat a few months down the line because you want to see if somebody comes in with anything higher, at that point you're only likely to keep getting lower offers if it's been on the market lower down. Not always, but generally we're speaking. So when offers come in, avoid the mistake of just rejecting them, thinking something will come along better. Work out what you can do with that and see if there's something you can work with there.
Yeah, I think also on that point, Phil's quite right that we're not saying accept any offer. We're also not saying accept the first offer that comes in. What we're saying is, with the early offers, make sure that your agent has negotiated as much as possible out of that buyer, and then that's the offer that you're sort of considering accepting or declining.
That's it.
We also thought we'd mention another mistake that we think people make, which is being inflexible on viewing times and access to the property.
That's it. So with viewings, it's quite a tricky thing, particularly if it's a family home. Maybe you've got kids running around, you've got pets and things, and trying to get your home ready for viewings can be daunting sometimes. The more preparation you can do to make sure your home can be ready for viewings, the better. But also with those timings and things, you don't want to miss out on opportunities. You don't know for definite when the next opportunity of a potential buyer coming to see your house will be. And so make sure that if somebody is requesting a viewing, you can find a way to make it happen. Now, in an ideal world, you'll have many viewings sort of at convenient times for you. You can put those in blocks, all that sort of thing. But if the right person comes along and they want to view your house and you're actively trying to sell your house, make that effort to make that viewing happen.
Yeah, always, yeah. And I have young children, so I understand it's not easy. It's not always easy. In fact, it's never easy, is it, selling your house? Let's face it.
It's not.
However, if you are motivated and looking to try and sell, you should always accommodate viewing times. And you should do that safe in the knowledge that your agent is hopefully ensuring that they're blocked together where possible and trying to fit it around you as much as they can. But please try and be as flexible as you can. And then on the similar vein, Phil, the point that we're going to sort of wrap up this video on is some clients trying to slow the process down because they've not found somewhere to buy.
That's it. Don't delay the process when you're selling your home. It can have a detrimental effect in lots of different ways. Once the sale's agreed, you've got lots of different people working in quite a stressful way to try and pull everything together, moving their whole life. And if you're causing delays, it can cause a lot of distrust amongst yourself, your buyer, anybody else in the chain about what's going on. Ideally, we want to all be pulling in the same direction and making sure everybody's happy at the same time. Not always easy to do, but if you're delaying things, then it can cause friction.
It can, yeah. And we're not saying give false hope to buyers by pretending you're going to move out quickly. We're just saying, you need to set expectations with the buyer. So we can say to a buyer, look, they haven't found anywhere yet, but they are actively looking. But alongside that, instruct the solicitor, let the buyer access to their searches and surveys, start the legal process, because ultimately you're only risking a few £100s with your solicitor. It's not a big risk, but you're showing your buyer that you're serious and committed. And then obviously that reflects well on you, and your buyer will then, or should then, put their trust and faith in you, and things will keep moving. At the same time, as I say, the buyer needs to be aware that you maybe haven't found anywhere, but that you are actively looking. But please don't slow it down on purpose.
Communicate those expectations so people know what they're getting into, and avoid kind of any red flags along the way that are going to cause the whole sale to blow up.
Yeah, good. Okay, well that was a good little chat, Phil, and we hope people found it useful.
Indeed. If you want to find out more about this or find out more tips of when selling your home, check out the links in the description below. Subscribe to our channel, ring the bell to make sure you get notified every time that we send out new videos, and check back, and we'll see you on the next video.
Indeed. Bye.